miracle might happen. Okay, it takes a few seconds, everybody, and then we will be okay. That's good. I think we've done it. Hooray, a miracle. All right, then. Get rid of that. All right. Okay, so let's begin. So we begin with our prayer. Oh, no, I have to do share screen. One day I'll remember. All right, then. Okay, so here's the tefillah that we begin with. Ribon Olamim. Wait a minute, where's my... Yeah, I've got my microphone on. Okay. Ribon Olamim v'Adonai Adonim. Av Haman v'Slichot. Modim anachnu lefanecha. Adonai Eloheinu v'le'avotenu. B'kidai b'shtachavaya. Shekeravtonu letorotcha u'lavodotcha u'vodat HaKodesh. V'natata lanu chelek b'sodot Tortecha Kedosha. Ma anu u'mer hayenu. Asher asita imanu chesed gadol kazeh. על כן, אנחנו מפילים תחנוננו לפניך, שתמחול ותסלח לכל חטאותינו ועוונותינו, ואל יהיו עוונותינו מבדילים בינינו לביניך, וכן יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, שתכונן את לבבינו ליראתך ולבבך, ותקשיב אוזניך לדברינו אלה. ותפתח לבבינו הערל בסודות תורתך, ולימודנו זה נחת רוח, לפני כיסא כבודך קרח ניחוח, ותאציל עלינו, אור מקור נשמתנו בכל בחינתנו, שיתנוצצו ניצוצות עבודיך הקדושים, אשר על ידם גלית דבריך אלה בעולם, וזכותם, וזכות אבותם, וזכות תורתם ותמימותם וקדושתם, יעמוד לנו לבל נכשל בדברים אלו, ובזכותם תראיננו במה שאנו לומדים, כמו המנעים זמירות ישראל, גל עיני והביט הנפלאות מתורתך, כי אדוני תן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה, יהיו לראות צונים רפי, ויגון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Amen. Can you rtzon? Okay, so I want to offer up our learning today for the welfare of the state of Israel, that our government should make good decisions and God should help us, and that the hostages, Hashem would enlighten our eyes and show us where the hostages are, and we can bring them from darkness into light, and look after our soldiers and keep them safe from all harm. Okay, Bezrat Hashem. Now then, let's start off with the beginning of this week's Sidra. I'm not quite sure how to share this. I had it earlier, and 1 second, I shall find it, don't worry. Right. Now, here we are. That's it. Now I do share. Okay. All right. That should have done it. All right. Okay. Parashat Ki Tisa. It's a fascinating parasha. Okay. And it starts off with the most, like, something which is so not understandable. All right. And that is the half a shekel business. All right. And then we get into this, big piece about the golden calf. And then we have Moses asking to see God's glory. And the 13th principle, Midot Rachamim. It is such a powerful sidra, this one. Okay, it really, really is. And one of the things that I'm really seeing this year, more than I've seen before, is there is in fact a very, very strong connection between the opening of the Sidra, which is the Machatzita shekel, and the half a shekel, and the issue of the golden calf, the sin of the golden calf. Okay, so we're going to read, first of all, the parasha here, of the machatzita shekel. And then we will see understand at least what happened with the golden calf. All right. V'daber Hashem el Moshe lemor, and God spoke to Moses saying, Ki tisa et rosh bnei Yisrael lifkoteihem. When you lift up the head of the children of Israel to take their number, v'natnu ish kofen nafsho l'Hashem, then they shall every man give a ransom for his soul to God, bifkodotam, when you number them, v'lo yeh behem negef, and there will not be a plague among them, bifkodotam, when you number them. Ze yitnu kol over lapikudim machatzita shekel. This they shall give. Everyone that passes among them is numbered half a shekel, the shekel hakodesh, after the shekel of the sanctuary. 20 gra hashekel. Each shekel is worth 20 gra. Machatzita shekel mal Hashem. But they shall give only half of a shekel as an offering to God. Okay. Kol over lapikudim mi ben 20 shana ulamala. Everyone that passes among them that are numbered from 20 years old and upward, yitain trumad l'Hashem, shall give an offering to the Lord. Ha'ashir lo yalbeh, the rich shall not give more. V'hadal lo yam'it, and the poor shall not give less. Mimachatzita shekel, less than half the shekel. Latet trumat Hashem, to give the offering to the Lord. Lachaper al nafshotechem, to make atonement for your souls. V'lakachtet kesef ha'kippurim, and shall take the atonement money, may 8 bnei Israel from the children of Israel, and shall point it for the service of the tent of meeting. That it may be a memorial for the children of Israel before the Lord to atone for your souls. Well, I think this is how can anybody understand this, quite frankly? What do we understand from this? Not only this, there is one, it seems to me like completely ununderstandable what this is about when you just read the pshat. And the second thing is that this must be an important piece of the Torah, because in fact we read it twice every year. We read it when it comes along in the parashiot, which is now, and we're going to read it again in a couple of weeks' time when we get before Purim, or a few weeks' time. I mean, it's it's like, what is this about? Okay, so this is a huge question. So luckily we've got Rabbi Ashlag to help us along here. All right. And so the first thing we do is we're going to go to the Zohar and look and see what the Zohar has to say. And then we're going to look in Rabbi Baruch Shalom Ashlag wrote about 5 or 6 different articles just on this, which goes to show how important it is. And we're going to look at that. And then we'll also ask the question, what has this got to do with the story of the golden calf? So in order to answer all these questions, the first thing we're going to do is go to the Zohar. So I'm not sure if I did this right, so I shall do it again. Be sure. There we go. Okay, so here's the piece of Zohar. All right, now for anybody who just joined, Shalom, I think, is new to this class. So just to show us, everybody, what how to look at a page of Zohar. All right, so let's zoom out a bit, okay? So what you can see at the top is the actual Zohar itself. It's usually written in Aramaic, okay, with quite a lot of Hebrew mixed in. All right, here, this piece in the middle is very, very useful because it tells us where the quotations come from in the Torah. It's very, very helpful if we want to look up in the Tanakh and the Torah the quotations that it's using. And I honestly always recommend people to have a Tanakh with them handy when they learn Zohar, because you've got to know the contexts. And of course, you know, the people in those days knew the whole Torah off by heart. We don't, so we have to look it up. All right, okay. And that's the Aramaic at the top. And here at the bottom, here in these 2 columns, is the Parashat Sulam, the commentary of Rabbi Ashlag. okay, which we're going to learn. So we're going to start off by reading the Zohar, okay? And this is a piece from Raya Mehemuna, so it's channeled by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai from Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, so let me zoom in again. Whoops, there you go, a bit too much there. I can't read it. A bit out. There you go. Raya Mehemuna, the faithful shepherd, that's Moshe Rabbeinu. Pikuda letate machatzit shekel b'shekel hakodesh. Man machatzit shekel hu kagon chatzi hahin v'dar vav ממוצע בין שני ההין, אבנה למשקל בה, דיוד, 20 גרם השקל, דיוד, השיר לא ירבה, דעמודה דאמצעיתה, לא ירבה על היוד, והכי יתמה בספר יצירה, 10 ספירות בלימה, 10 ולא 11, והדל לא ימעיט, דצדיק, לא ימית מ10, כמו שכתוב 10 ולא 9, ממחצית השקל, די הוא יוד. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I'll read the Hebrew first, but we're going to need the explanation of Rabbi Ashlag to understand anything that it says. Okay, a mitzvah it is to give half a shekel of a holy shekel, and he asks, what's half a shekel? And he answers, it's like half a hin, I think that's a measurement, okay, or half a hay, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what that hin means here, but he says it's the vav, which is the in-between letter between the two hays of yud hey, vav hey, okay? So you've got yud hey and you've got vav hey, okay? And in between the two hays, you've got the vav, all right? So that is half the shekel. Even lishkol bahu yud, 20 gram shekel. Okay, so shekel was actually a weight, all right? That was how they measured out the silver. They had a stone, okay, which weighed 20 gram, and that was the shekel. And in order to, know how much silver they had, they weighed it, okay? That's what it means here. And 20 gram of the shekel, now it says, is the full way that you write a yud, okay? The letter yud is 10, and then yud vav dalef. If you were to write the word yud out the way you say it, okay, you would have a yud vav and a daled. That says yud, okay. So the letter yud is also yud vav daled written out in full. Now, if you were to count up the letters, the gematria of that, yud of course is 10, vav is 6, and daled is 4. So you have 20, okay. So there you have 20 gra is the shekel. So it's like a very full yud, if you like. Ha'ashir lo yarbeh, the rich shall not give more than that. Zeu amut ha'emtze'i shu zeu ampin, shelo yarbeh al yud. So that's the middle line, he says, which is zerampin, is not to give more than the yud, so you have 10. V'kach lamadnu b'sefer Yetzirah, this is what we've learned in the Sefer Yetzirah. Eser sfirot b'lima, the world is created with 10 sfirot. Eser v'lo 11, 10, not 11. V'hadal lo yamit, and the poor shall not give less. Zeu tzaddik, this refers to the tzaddik, shu yesod. Lo yamit mi eser, not going to give less than eser. Kamo shekatuv b'sefer Yetzirah, as it's written in the book of Yetzirah. Eser v'lo tesha, 10, not 9. Mimachatzit shekel shu yud. You have to give half the shekel, which is like the letter yud. Okay.
Yehudah, can I ask a question? But
sure.
there was a coin that was called half a shekel.
Well, yes, but that's true. That's absolutely true. I suppose.
Which is they had to give like this coin. I mean, they actually had to give this coin called a half a shekel coin.
Well, I guess in the, first of all, they started off by weighing out money, which was a shekel, and then eventually they replaced it by a coin. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know, I heard somewhere they actually have to give this half a shekel coin. They can't give all like bits of coins or anything, but have to give this specific half a shekel coin.
Well, I don't know actually how I only know what's written here.
No,
I
okay.
know that originally it was a weight, because a shekel is actually a weight, okay? And like in the time of Abraham, all right, when he weighed out the shekel, the amount of money to pay for Marat HaMachpelah, he weighed it out, okay? He weighed out money. And then eventually, of course, it did get replaced by coins. That's how money developed. So, yeah.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
but never mind about the history. You're probably correct about it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. All right. Biur hadvarim. Let's find out what this means on the inner. Okay? Explanation. Muchachim tchila lavin pnimiyot hamikraot beparasha. We first have to understand the inner meanings of the scripture that we read in this parasha. Ki tisa et rosh. When you raise up the head, hainu, כשתמשיך גירושונות לבני ישראל, when you bring the full light of the light of God to the children of Israel, as for example on the giving of the Torah, okay? So when the great light comes to children of Israel, the great light of God, and there are times when it comes, כי הגירושונות נקראים ראש, okay, there's the head, and that's called the head part of the spiritual entity. Lipkudotehem, in the ways that the light comes, and the different ways it comes in different aspects to the vessel. Natnu ish kofa nafsho lashem. A person needs to let go of receiving the great light. Okay? He needs to refrain. He needs to, Nazir is like a Nazarite, like to be more ascetic, not to bring this great light of God in his vessels of receiving, but he should raise them up to God. Okay? This is a crucial idea in Judaism, and it's a crucial idea which Rabbi Ashlag himself taught very often to his students in many, many different ways. And that is that even if we are receiving the light of God for the sake of giving, we still should not receive all the light. We should not be like, hey, I want to receive it all. No, even it's for the sake of giving, we have to be modest and we need to give back as much as we can. This is the way of Yisrael. This is the way of Israel. This is the way of Yaakov. Whereas the way of Esau was to receive all the light. Okay? Now, we tend to think of the wicked, okay, in our terms, which means receiving for ourselves alone. But Rabbi Ashlag tells us this is not in fact the case. The wicked who are described in the Torah were in fact men of tremendous spiritual stature. Esau, Laban, Pharaoh, okay? They were men of great spiritual stature who what they were capable of receiving the light of God for the sake of giving, okay? They received tremendous light. However, they wanted to receive all the light. All the light. Admittedly, they wanted to receive it for the sake of giving, but that it was still considered wrong. It's considered a sin. And this, I think, is the connecting link between this paragraph, this piece about the half a shekel, and the sin of the golden calf. Because the sin of the golden calf was exactly that they wanted to receive all the light, okay? Receiving for the sake of giving, but they wanted to receive all of it. And that is considered a sin for the children of Israel. The children of Israel need to be modest. We need to prefer giving rather than receiving, because we need to prefer to be in affinity of form with God rather than receiving, even if our receiving is for the sake of giving. Okay? And this is the whole quarrel, if you like, between Jacob and Esau. Because when Isaac came to give the blessings for the end of the tikkun, which means when the great light of God will be present in the world, he wanted, in fact, to give them to Esau, because he did not realize that Esau was going to use it wrongly, was going to take it with greed, okay? And he didn't know that, he was blind, and nobody told him that, and he really didn't know that Esau was actually very wicked. And the way of Jacob is the way of giving back. Okay, that's Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, the children of Jacob, the children of Yisrael. We have to give back the light. We have to refrain from receiving all this light. It's not good for us, okay, because it can very easily slip into receiving for ourselves alone, okay? And in any case, at the end of the tikkun, Rabbi Ashlag teaches that the role of the children of Israel is not the role of the rest of the world. The rest of the world is able to receive the light for the sake of giving, okay, but can just receive all the light if it wants to for the sake of giving. But the role of the children of Israel is to continue the function of giving primarily. We choose Yirat Hashem, we choose reverence for God, we choose to give rather than receive. And we just receive the minimum, okay? All right, that's the way of the tzaddik. So this mitzvah of the half a shekel is, I think, deliberately placed here in the Torah so that we understand this mitzvah before we come to the sin of the golden calf, so that we understand what the sin of the golden calf actually was. All right, this is kind of like the antidote. All right. So, Ki Tisa et Rosh, Hainu Kashetamshich, Gimel Shanot Ibn Israel, when the great light comes to the children of Israel, Gimel Shanot Nikuim Rosh, okay, when it comes through all its ways to the children of Israel, no ishkof nafsho Hashem. A person give a ransom for his soul to God. Okay, and what does that mean? He shouldn't take it for himself. He should be refraining. He should not bring this great light of Chokhmah in his vessels of receiving, but raise it up to God. V'lo yebhem negef. Okay, and then he won't have a plague. What does it mean? If you receive too much light, like I say, you're in danger of receiving for yourself alone. Why are we in danger of that? Because the light of God is so sweet. The sages tell us that if you were to take all the pleasures of this world, okay, and put them all together, right, mamash, all of them together, okay, they would not compare to one moment of the great light of God. And so it's so easy to sort of like get sucked into that light and receive it for ourselves, receive too much, okay? The small konoda, because when we receive for this great light, we raise up also all sorts of judgments against ourselves because of the inability really to receive it completely for the sake of giving. We're bound to receive some for ourselves alone. Okay.
Edithia,
Yes.
is that only when we're saying that we're bound to receive it for ourselves alone? Is this an issue of humanity, or are you saying that by the Goyim they do have I wasn't sure if I understood right, that the Goyim have an ability to receive for the sake of giving, but Yidden actually are meant to be primarily givers, which is a higher form in connection with Hashem. But because they're meant to be givers, when they're receiving, they're bound to take it for themselves, whereas the Goyim aren't necessarily going to, or is not.
Yeah, I think that's right. I do think that's right. First of all, you're correct. Giving is a higher form of connecting with God because it's more in affinity of form with Him. Okay, so it is considered as higher. That's quite true. Okay, and the children of Israel preferred to be connected with God. Okay, rather than receiving, which is not in the same affinity of form with God. Even if it's receiving for the sake of giving, it's still not the same. The children of Israel prefer working with faith, which is giving, rather than receiving experiences, which is what this would be.
Wow. But you're saying that the Goyish level, meaning for who they are they have the potential to receive the experiences just for the sake of, helping the world. But in us, we have a bigger danger in receiving than Goyim? Are you saying that?
I don't honestly know the answer to that. I'm sorry. I think that from what I've understood so far, the vessels of Esau, for example, were probably greater than the vessels of Yaakov. Vessels of Esau had vessels of receiving, great vessels of receiving, whereas Yaakov has the smaller vessels, which are the vessels of giving. And vessels of giving are the vessels of Od Chasadim are considered smaller, considered lesser than the great vessels of receiving. So I think you're probably right. I think the vessels of the Umot HaOlam are probably greater in that respect, but they're not corrected so much. The vessel, we need to work on the correction. That's our role. The children of Israel, sorry?
I was saying Lasakin Olam B'Malchus Shakai, that idea?
I can't quite hear what you said. I'm sorry. It's coming up a bit distorted.
Lasakin Olam B'Malchus Shakai, that idea?
I can't. I'm sorry. Can you put it in the chat? Can you write it in the chat? Because I can't actually hear what you're saying. Okay. All right. Just pop it in the chat if you don't mind. All right. Because I can't distinguish the words.
Do you hear me better now? L'takin olam b'malchus shakai?
Can you please write it in the chat? I can't understand the words you're saying. Okay. It might be your accent or it might be my speakers. I can't understand the words. Just write it in the chat. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so B'Shekel HaKodesh, Hainu Hamshachat HaChochma. Okay, so let's see, how does this relate to the issue of the shekel, all right? Why do we have to take half a shekel? So a whole shekel, okay, says B'Shekel HaKodesh, Hainu Hamshachat HaChochma, relates to bringing this great light, okay? Asher Madriga Shlema, Hi Esrim Gra Shekel. So a whole spiritual stage is 20 gra of the shekel, all right? Remember, we said the word yud is yud vav daled is the whole 20. Ki b'madriga hashlema, because in the whole madriga, yesh ba eses sfirot de'or zachar. There is 10 sfirot of the light which comes mimala lamata, from above to below. And we also have 10 sfirot de'or nekeva. And we also have the 10 sfirot of light, which we give mimata lamala, from below to above. And together, you've got 20 sfirot, okay? 20 sfirot, which are receiving for the sake of giving. Okay, 10 sfirot coming down from above to below, and 10 sfirot from below to above. And together they're 20 gura. And the gura, why is it called a gura? So he says, Milashon ger hayiti be'eretz nochia. I was a stranger in a strange land. In other words, there's something in this too much light, okay, which is making me estranged from God. Machatzita shekel, okay, so what he says is divide this amount into two, all right? So half the shekel to eses sfirot de'or zachar. So you have 10 sfirot of the light which is coming from Hashem to us. Truma Hashem, give it up to God. Tzarich larim oto l'Hashem, give that back up to God. Lo lamshicho, don't pull it towards yourself. Ela lamshich hamachatzit shel or nekeva bilvad. Only bring about the half of the light, which in any case we are giving back from below to above. Okay? So he says, I think what it's really telling us is don't look for experiences, look for how we can work in faith. That's what it's saying. Don't look for, the direct knowledge of God. Look for how we can work in faith. That's what it means. V'zamru, and this is what they said, man machatzita shekel. What is this half a shekel? Ihukagon chatziahin. That is, why is it? It's half a measure. And with faresh, da vav memutza ben shnei ahin. Okay, this is the vav, which is the middle letter between the two hays. Okay, and it's called the middle line. Okay. Shnikam matkala. It's like in a balance, yeah? You've got the line in the middle, which keeps everything in balance. It balances the two lights on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. The right-hand side is the side of giving. The left-hand side is the side of receiving, okay? And these two need to be in balance, okay? So that the left-hand side should not be bigger than the right. And the tendency of the left-hand side in the Kabbalah is the vessels of receiving, and they need to be restricted. That's why we bind the tefillin on the left, okay? The left hand is usually the one which is bound in tefillin, okay? Because that's what the vessels of receiving are the ones we need to keep in check, okay? And that's the reason why he lessens the vessels of receiving, lessens the vessels of the left-hand line, lessens the vessels with which we receive the light, which comes from above to below. But we only keep the vessels from below to above, okay? And when we do that, because there's 20, like we said, on the left-hand side, we put 10, but just let go of that 10, give them back up to God, then we have that is equivalent to the right-hand side, because the right-hand side also is shining, but its desire is giving completely. So now they're in affinity of form, okay? And this is what it says, that we divide, the Vav is like the middle line, divides the shekel, and we give the light back up to God. As we say, don't just receive it. Now I can see there's something in the chat. Let's see if I can. Okay. L'takein olam b'malchut Shaddai, to perfect the world with the rulership of Shaddai. Thank you. I couldn't understand it. I think I don't use Ashkenazi pronunciation. I couldn't understand what you were saying. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Chaya. That's very true. Yes, that is the correct way. L'takein Shaddai olam b'malchut Shaddai. Yes, that's right. Okay. Thanks. I'm sorry, I really couldn't hear earlier. Yes, that's true. Okay, so here he just finishes off what we were learning in the Zohar. V'ze'amru, avna lemishkal ba dayud, 20 gera shekel dayud. Ki yud b'milua, yoel madriga shloma. So again, he's just reminding us, we've got the stone, which the weight of the shekel, which has got 20 gerah. Okay, that makes a whole shekel, which is Yud Vav Daled. Ki Yud b'miluah, Yoel Madriga Shloma. When you spell the Yud with all its letters, its inner letters written there, okay, it means a whole level. She'or Zachar Sod Yud, which is the light which comes down from above to below, is called Yud. It's the Or de Chochma. Yud is Chochma in God's name, okay? V'no Or HaNekeva hu Sod Vav Daled. And the light of going from below to above is Vav Daled. If you put the Daled, okay, with a little Vav inside it, what do you get? You get the Hey, all right, which is Bina, which is the desire of giving from below to above. Okay, so together you'd have 20. So Esrim Gerah HaShekel, the 20 gerah of the shekel, but that would mean we would be geirim, we would be cut off from God if we did this. Okay, she'even sheshoklim ba hatruma l'Hashem. So we need to give back the light to God via Yud. Shu or zachash mimala lamata. Makablim la'atzmam rak hayud shel or nekeva. And we only receive the light of giving, okay, which lights from below to above. V'zeh she'omer ha'ashir lo yarbeh. And this is what it says, that the rich should not give too much. This refers to the middle line, okay, whose own essence tends towards the right-hand line, tends towards the light of chasadim, okay? And it doesn't need the light of Chokhmah, and which doesn't need the light of Chokhmah. The right-hand side does not require the light of Chokhmah, and therefore it's called Ashir, a rich man. So it says, no, don't give more than 10, okay? You mustn't give only give up the light that you're meant to give up, which is the light which comes from above to below. Don't give up from the light of giving. That you have to keep the 10, okay? And this is why it says in this book of Yitzirah, Eses Sfirot, B'lima, the world was created through 10 Sfirot. Eser v'lo 11, 10, not 11. So you're not, you have to do it precisely. V'im zerampin, yarbel machatzita shekel. If the zerampin, which is the middle line, was to give more than half the shekel, in other words, it would give, in a way, too much, okay? It would be giving also what belongs to the left-hand line. That would be too much. That would give more. That would be more than 10 sfirot, which would be 11. That's no good. Vada lo yamit. And the poor one should not give less. That's tzaddik. Because the tzaddik is the yesod, and that requires the light of chokhmah. Aken nikra be'er kadal, because it's looking for it. It feels poor. Lo yamit miyaseh. Okay. Shelo yashir midat ma'ain esesvirot or zachar. So it should not hold on to the light of God because it's feeling poor. No, it has to give up exactly the right amount, because it desires the light of Chokhmah so much. So in fact, we've got two sides. We've got part of the Ashir, the rich aspect, wants to give. No, you have to give the right amount. And the poor aspect says, no, I need some. No, you have to give it up, okay? So the two sides need to be correct and stay in balance, so that you don't have 11 sfirot and you don't have 9 sfirot, but you have the right amount. Okay? Okay, right. That was a piece in the Zohar, which gives us the background to what we're learning. Okay, and now I want to come to this work of Rabbi Baruch Shalom Ashlag, and he's written many things about, I mean, like I say, it's like 6 or 7 articles, and some of them I really, really, really liked. All right. So we'll see what we manage to do. Okay. All right. So we've got the basic idea from the Zohar. Now we'll see how to put it into practice. Tefillah oseh machzeh. A prayer makes the half. Okay.
Yehudah, you haven't shared this new
Oh,
one
bless you,
for us.
darling. Thank you, sweetie. I don't know what I'd do without you, Nicole. Really, I don't. You keep me organized. I really don't know what I would do without
Okay,
you.
thank you.
You're welcome. Inyan machatzita shekel, the issue of half a shekel. Madua lo natnu shekel shalem ela machatzit davka. Why did they not give a whole shekel, only half a shekel? And this is what we just learnt in the Holy Zohar. Okay, exactly that reference is exactly what we learnt. So shoshinyan machatzitu hashir lo yarbev hadar lo yamit machatzit shekel. And in the Holy Zohar, we learnt that the aspect of the aspect of giving should not give more, and the aspect of receiving should not give less. Each side of the balance has to be in balance. Muvasham basulam is explained there in the commentary of the Sulam. Shebakom madriga yesh yamin v'smol, that every stage has an aspect of giving, which is the right-hand side, which wants to be giving, and which receives the light of chasadim, the joy of giving, and it has the left-hand side, the vessel of receiving, which is what we want to receive the light of God in. Okay, we have both. The inyan shekel ubechinat moznaim, and the shekel itself is like the balance in the middle. Lishkol, okay, to weigh up, to make a balance. Shlo yeh yoter chasadim mechochma, v'lo yoter chochma mechasadim. That we shouldn't have any more of the light of giving than we have from the light of that we receive, which is called chochma. V'lo yoter chochma mechasadim, and not more light of chochma than chasadim. We've got to have it both balanced, okay? We get this idea also in Pirkei Avot, okay? That a person's Torah and his good deeds should be in balance, because otherwise it says there he's like this, big tree, which has no roots, and along comes a puff of wind and it falls down, okay? So we want to make sure that the Torah that we learn, the Chochmah that we receive, and the Chasadim, the giving, should be in balance. So it says, Ayin Sham, Baruch Hashem, we had the merit to look there. V'yesh lavin ze gam al derech hapshat, and we can understand this also in a simple way. Okay, this is what Rav Ashlag says. Hainu shezeh yadua, ein adam oseh shum tnuah, elu shokel et kedayut shelo. It's known that a person does not make any movement unless he's measuring up, is it worthwhile for him or not? Is it going to gain anything? As then it's in his power to make a movement. Otherwise, in a state of rest. And when a person wants to make a movement for the sake of giving, if he begins to weigh up whether it's worth it or not, okay, as a guf mitnaged, then his ego, his body, his personality is going to oppose him. Why? He can't see what he's going to gain, because the body only wants to do anything if he sees is going to get something for it. Okay, that's the nature of the ego. That's the nature of our will to receive. So if he wants to do something only for the sake of giving, like giving for the sake of giving. Really give to somebody else only for the sake of giving to the other person. As ein lo eitz acheret ela tefillah. The only way you can do it is through tefillah. Because from our own nature, we cannot do it. Shezen yan mashamu chazal, and this is what the sages said, tefillah usei machzeh. Tefillah does half the work. Ki azen ne'emar Hashem haya ozer li. Because this is why it says, God helped me in Tehillim. Shedarshu chazal, on which the sages explained, ilmalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu ozro eino yachol lo. If it were not for the fact that God helps him, we can't overcome our Yetzer Hara. We can't overcome our will to receive. We can't overcome the inertia of our ego. Nimtza she'en adam yachol letet ela machatzit. So what do we find? That the person can only give half. And what's the half we need to give? The tefillah, the prayer. Because on our own, we don't have the power to give. Machatzit hashniya HaKadosh Baruch Hu noten. And the other half, actually, God gives. He gives us the power to do something. Lachen nemar, hashir lo yarbeh. And this is why it says the rich one will not increase. Mishu hashir badat u'b'midot lo yachol lifol shum davar ela tefillah. Whoever is rich in knowledge and in attributes cannot work anything. Okay? Ela tefillah. Only prayer helps him. Ki beli ezra me'Hashem eno yachol lo. Because without help from God, he cannot overcome his will to receive. He can't overcome his Yetzer Hara, as the Torah teaches us. Gadol mechavero, yitzro gadol heimenu. As a person grows in Torah and Midot, okay, his Yetzer Hara grows equally. So he's still in balance. He's still got this whole problem of whatever I want to do in Kedusha, my ego wants to oppose it, okay? So even if you're a great person, all right, and you're even the great sages, they also had to deal with this issue. The only thing that helps is tefillah. Vadal, and the poor one, Misha en lo sechel v'dat u'midot tovot lo yamit. And the poor person, that is somebody who doesn't have so much knowledge, and he doesn't have so much good deeds, and he doesn't have so much good attributes, lo yamit milatan tefillah, should not give less prayer. Because in this kulam shavim, hanu b'zeh kulam shavim, in this we're all equal. Shekulam tzurkim shashem yazor. Everybody needs that God will help. Shenuchal lasot ezer tnuah b'menat lashpia, so that we'll be able to do some movement for the sake of giving. V'lachen ein latet rak machatzit hashekel, hanu l'achar sheshakal b'dato, shortze lasot b'menat lashpia, as tzarich latet machatzit, hanu tefillah. So therefore, we can only give the half of the shekel. That is to say, once we've measured it in our minds, we've decided that we want to do an action for the sake of giving, as tzarich latet machatzit, we need to give our half, hanu tefillah, our prayer, shetefillah usei machzeh, because the tefillah makes the half. That's amazing. That's really amazing. Do you know, one time, I forget who it was, somebody was visited the Gaon of Vilna, and he sees the Gaon, and he's sitting there studying Torah. You know, the Gaon of Vilna was famous for this. He sat and studied Torah from morning till night. Nothing was allowed to disturb him, nothing at all. He sat just studying Torah morning till night, morning till night, morning till night. And somebody said to him, I wish I had your Yetzer Hara. And the Gaon of Vilna said, you don't. That's the last thing you want. Because as a person grows in Torah and Midot, his Yetzer Hara grows with him. So this whole issue that we cannot do any action for the sake of giving without prayer is true for a great sage as it's true for one of us. Okay? Great. Now, Rabbi Gottlieb's put an additional comment here at the end. Shin Mem Het, here it is. Can you see that all right? I can zoom in a bit. No, I can't zoom in because I lose the ends that way. All right, there we go. That has to be it. נמצא, המשקל הוא, כאשר מתחיל לשקול את כדאיות של עבודה להשפיע, רואה שאינו יכול להכריע לכף זכות, שאינו יכול להכריע שעבודה להשפיע יותר חשובה מן קבלה. We find that the issue is that when a person begins to weigh up the worthwhileness of doing an action for the sake of giving, and he says he actually can't decide it for the sake of merit. He can't tilt the balance to the side of merit. He can't tilt the scales, all right? Okay, he can't tilt it so that make that final decision that the work of giving is in fact more important than that of receiving. וזהו שנתקשה משה. And this, in fact, was, the sages say that this was one of the issues which Moses had difficulty with, okay? That there was a few that Moses had difficulty with. He had difficulty with understanding Kiddush HaChodesh, the sanctification of Rosh Chodesh. He had difficulty with the menorah, and he had difficulty with the Machatzit Shekel. And the reason was, כי לא יכול להכריע שההשפעה יותר חשובה. I couldn't make that be sure that giving was better than receiving. ואז בא למצב של מחצית השקל. And so he then came to the situation of prayer. He asked God, היינו שמתפלל תפילה שהיא מחצית. So he gave a prayer that is half the work, the half. I don't mean it's half the work, but it's half the reality. So then God gives him the light of chasadim, which gives him the joy of giving. And that's the other half. Now he's balanced because he has joy in receiving and also joy in giving. We need to decide in the side of giving. We need to ask a question. Hello, Moshe Amer Kavala Zeranpin. Moshe was the vehicle for Zeranpin. And the whole essence of Zeranpin is the aspect of giving. Okay? Was it possible that he couldn't make that decision, that he couldn't understand for himself that the will to give was more important? But the whole of the Torah is given to Israel, and it's the side of Israel which is we're the Malchut, and our desire, our main desire is our natural desire is receiving, and so therefore we need to learn about the balance which is learning how to give. Okay, gosh, that was good. Stop share. Oh no, I don't want to stop share. Any questions? All right. Any questions? Well, we've got another 6 minutes.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
That it's amazing and interesting that Moshe had trouble with that. I could see other people having trouble, but he had, such a knowledge of Torah. And yeah, it's just incredible to me that he couldn't even do it.
Oh, for sure.
Part of it, and we can all pray, but if he had trouble, how can we have a hope to not have trouble?
For sure.
And I wonder what kind of prayer we need to have besides having joy and giving. I wonder if there's a formula for the kind of prayer we need to help us balance.
I think the formula is just in your heart, just very simple. You know, prayer, Rabbi Ashlag is very, very clear about this. Prayer is what you feel in your heart. Prayer is not words you say from the mouth outwards. Prayer is what wells up in your heart. True prayer, you pray in English. Pray, pray in the language that you know. Pray from your heart and say, dear God, I'm having trouble. I know I want to be giving and I'm not managing it. Please help me. That's all you need to say. That's the prayer.
Wow. Okay. I can say that.
Simple.
I can feel that.
Yeah, very, very simple. Keep it simple. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. We've got like
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right,
Let's have a peaceful Shabbos.
Amen. Amen, amen, amen. And my thoughts are with you all, absolutely 100% in Sfat all the time. Thinking of you so much. Miss you all. I really do, actually. Yeah. But I can't, I have to be where I have to be at the moment. So this is where I am.
Thank you very much. Shabbat
Oh,
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Yehudah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was such a beautiful one. It was exactly like every time I guess it blows me away because I guess it's so you need to learn it because so against your natural instinct. It's like I couldn't have figured that one out. It's not that I think you could figure everything out, but I think this is the Torah we need so badly to learn because this is what you'll never come to on your own because it's the opposite of what you think.
It's the opposite of what you think. I know. It's really interesting. I mean, I really do think that this piece was put here as the balance for the golden calf, so that we don't go into receiving too much for ourselves alone. I really think so. Yeah.
Can you speak more about what did he say was the sin of golden calf that they wanted to receive light? Because it seemed like what is avoid? Is there like I'm curious what he said on that. I didn't understand what was the sin that this is the repair.
Yeah, when they received the great light of God on Mount Sinai, they received it not as Nishma. They put faith first. We'll do it first, and only then we'll experience anything. Only then we will understand. But what has really happened at the time of the Torah on Mount Sinai was they heard the first two commandments from the voice of God. And then they said to Moses, look, this is too much for us. We're afraid we're going to die. What does die mean? They were afraid it was so beautiful. It was so strong. It was so that they couldn't maintain their aspect of giving. So they were afraid and they moved further away. And they said to Moses, you deal with the rest. It's too much. And Moses was quite cross about this with them. And he said, look, surely you should hear everything from God himself. You should be the ones receiving the whole Torah. But actually God upheld the children of Israel, and he felt that their yirah, that they're letting go of the light and maintaining their aspect of faith and their aspect of giving was in fact correct. And then
Wow.
Moses is up there on the mountain, okay, receiving the light for 40 days and 40 nights. And the aspect of who actually did the sin of the golden calf is called the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude. Now, the mixed multitude are aspects of the will to receive for oneself alone, okay? And the Zohar tells us very clearly that it was the mixed multitude that actually did the sin. And the children of Israel were punished for it because they did not protest. Okay? And
No, they joined.
Sorry?
There was no Jews that actually got swept in by it.
Well, they got a bit swept in that 3,000 died. Okay? But that, I mean, if you consider that you were talking about 600,000 men, okay, and the equivalent number of women, 3,000 out of that, you can see that from that understanding that the children of Israel as a whole did not participate in the golden calf. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Nevertheless, there was some aspect from the golden calf was like huge sin, you know. So what is it about? So Rabbi Ashlag takes it more from the aspect of everything that happens is like also happening inside ourselves, if you see what I mean. Okay, so we have within ourselves a Moses, and we have within ourselves the children of Israel, and we have within ourselves the mixed multitude as well. Okay, so there's an aspect within us that wants to behave like the mixed multitude. We want to have a concrete experience of God. We want to be able to know God. We want to be able to experience God. We all have that actually within ourselves as well. All right. And we have to understand that to draw that energy of God into experience is in fact not the right thing for us to do. It's the wrong thing for us to do. It's a sin. And that's actually what it's about. And the Machatzita shekel, actually, this half a shekel, actually tells you precisely how not to do that. It tells you don't draw the light, the whole 20 gerah, don't draw all the light down, give half of it back. And it teaches you how to handle it so that we don't fall into the sin of the golden calf. Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I think this is incredibly interesting that this mitzvah is put here before we get into the sin of the golden calf. It's like God teaches you how to like handle too much light so that if you get into a situation, you're not going to fall into too much light.
Wow. And it's, I guess, almost like you would say, like, Hashem always repeals the refuah l'fnei ha'maka. It's always there. But I had an interesting question as you were speaking about Purim. There's this whole idea that the first Matan Torah was a little bit forced, and it was more from Yira, and the second one was more from a hava and a desire. And it dafka says, Megeba, kimu v'kiblu ha'yehudim. Like, kimlu masha...
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. It says my sister just helped me with last one. It's kimu masha kibulu kvar. So that means that they, what does it kimu mean? They kimu masha kibulu kvar, meaning but they already received. Is that actually giving? Is that the Torah? They, so to speak, gave Hashem. Is that talking about them like giving Hashem and that I want to do mitzvahs in that way? It's like a giving of.
Yeah. Yes, you're absolutely right about that. Yes, there is definitely a connection also, because that is again the sin of the golden calf is the attitude of Haman. That's what Haman wanted. Haman wanted to receive the light, also for the sake of giving, but I want to receive all the light. Okay, I'll do it for the sake of giving, no problem.
It's sorry, I was interrupting you. No, I was just sorry, I interrupted you. But I just remember the Megillah saying like that when Mordechai did in Baal it was like, "Call Zeh no Shavali." If I don't have all of it, then even whatever I have, as big as it is, it's not worth it to me because I need all of it.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. You got it exactly. That's right. That was the attitude of Haman, and Haman and the golden calf are the same thing. Okay, and the attitude of Mordechai was no, that's not the way of the Jew. Okay, we have to be content with our lot. And the whole of the story of Purim is exactly this story. It's like, how do we deal with the light? And the light that we're talking about is the light of the rebuilding of the temple. Because why did this story come about? Because why was this great light coming into the world at that time? Because it was already time, 70 years had passed since the destruction of the first temple. It was time for the Jews to be able to go back to Eretz Israel, rebuild the temple. So great light was coming into the world, and this is the inner meaning of the banquet of Ahasuerus. So he invites everybody to the banquet. The banquet is the inner meaning of the great light. Okay, like they talk about the banquet at the end of the Gemara Tikkun. So the Su'udah is representative of this great light. And Mordechai warned the Jews, don't go to the Su'udah. Why not? It's too much light there. You're bound to receive it for yourselves alone. But they went. Now, when they went, it was not forbidden, because you can do the work of machatzita shekel. You can do the work of taking half and using it only in the way of the Jew, which is to let the light, give the light back. But they tried, they really did try. But once they'd tasted that great light, it's such a great light, they began to receive it for their own sakes. They wanted to begin to receive more. Like you said, Haman wants more. Okay, that's what happened. So the Jews went the way of Haman, and because they went the way of Haman, that's why it says that they deserved kiliyah, extermination. Okay. And then the whole story unfolds of Haman. He's going to murder all the Jews, okay? And Esther, she understands what needs to be done, tshuva, okay? Needs to do tshuva, and the tshuva is they fasted and they prayed, okay? And they re-accepted the Torah, this time the way of Mordechai. Kimu v'kiblu, like they upheld the way of Mordechai, the way of Na'aseh v'nishma. They upheld it, not from receiving, but from giving, okay? And therefore it was through love, because this time, they really understood what the proper way to keep the Torah. And that was the story of Purim, that
Wow.
in a nutshell.
It's interesting because as you were speaking, like a few things are pointing out to me. First of all, that you said about that they deserve klaya, it just made me think about, you were saying that, like, why did Klai Yisrael not want to hear all the Saras Divrus from Hashem? Is because the light was too much for them, and they couldn't give to Hashem if they would, like, be, so to speak, annulled by this light, and they can't do their purpose. So the same thing, the City of Hashverish is like, why? Klaya just means like they took too much light, and now they can't exist for their purpose.
That's
And
right.
also
That's right.
And you're also saying about that, what was the whole banquet about? About the fact, it was like Mama's story of Kriyat Ego, like Moshe Rabbeinu with the calculation, wait a minute, in our logic, not living with Emunah, but with our logic, the calculation is that Moshe Rabbeinu should be down. He's not down. We're lost, so let's, figure something out. And again, by this story, they're like, okay, and according to our calculation, God should be over. So now, our let's leave our path. The same thing happened. That was Abraham's response, and it's just and then that idea of of tefillah, that was such a beautiful just point about how like the tikkun for this type of midah is only tefillah. So that's how they. That was so beautiful. Does Rabbi Baruch Shalom Ashlag have any writings on Purim? This is from him, or you look at anything like that?
Writings on Purim?
Yeah.
Yes, he's got a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful article on Purim. That's how I know anything about Purim. Otherwise, I wouldn't know anything about Purim.
Could you give a class on it? I would love.
Yeah, oh, yes. Let's try and do some shiurim for Purim this year, okay? Because I won't be in Tzfat this year, so let's do some shiurim for Purim. We'll do that. It's a great idea. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It'll take us about 2 or 3 weeks to do it. So I'll figure out which ones we'll do for Purim. Okay, that's a grand idea. Yes, we'll do that. Okay, lovely.
I wanted to say that there is a parallel or a confluence of ideas when it comes to Purim and Pesach. Because someone once said to me, and it struck so deeply, that the whole essence of Pesach is when we sing Dayenu, when we are full of receiving what God has given us, and it's enough. Even if you'd only given us this or you'd only given us that, we experience the enoughness of it. We don't have to have it all. We have enough with whatever it is that we've been given, and we feel that satisfaction of what God has given us. Right. If we can feel it, then we've achieved the goal of being grateful, being full, being getting the whole picture. We are being given everything we need,
That's right.
but just recognizing it is all we have to do.
That's
Small I
right.
am. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Tipor. Okay, everybody. All right, that was lovely. Okay, wonderful questions. Thanks a
Thank-
lot. Okay,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Have a good
you.
Shabbat.
Travis.
Shalom. Bye.
Shabbat Shalom. Bye. Bye, Chaya.
Yedida, I'm so glad I met up with you last week. It was a great coincidence.
Yeah, it was. It was really amazing. That was
Yeah.
really amazing. Baruch Hashem. That was really
Yeah.